Hello. Welcome back
Hello.
for a little change of what we had originally planned today because I was sick and we had to cancel something. So that being said, we now have a mini session just all for yourself.
I know, special me.
Special little old you, Raf.
Yeah.
But what caused this necessity was finally Irisphere. 70 sessions later.
I know.
Finally unlocked. Long awaited, you make your way to the ruined town. The cliffside just a little bit off. It's odd because you enter yourself. It's something that calls only to you. As you get down there, there's a few starless troops kind of strewn and scattered around. You sent them to clear out anything that could be considered dangerous. You make your way down below and make your way closer and closer to that fated location you once entered in, where you heard the first hint of where a shard would be. And now, what lays within? Will you find out? It seems like you've been waiting so long.
It does. It's been such a long time, Des.
Making your way below, you find I won't say like a solemn, but a kind of contemplative Astrodana was tasked to clear out the inside, I believe. Kind of waiting for whenever you would have made your way. So
Astrodana?
she kind of looks up and Malish, and she gets down on a knee, very formal.
Please, rise. How fares it?
It's unusual, sire.
How so?
The golem inside, it was subdued, not destroyed. But we approached the wall where you told us would open. It blocks off for us. The closer we get, the higher it rises. We can see further in, but it will not share its secrets with us.
Odd. Have you discovered anything from your time here?
It does not seem like there is anything left inside. When standing at a distance, we can see great structure that delves below. Overall, though, it doesn't seem like there is anything of, well, how would I, like, no hostility inside. It's still. It's odd. We would have thought with the Guardian outside there may be further protections inside, but yet to come across them.
That's what I would have thought as well. At least traps and the sort, but most unusual. Most unusual.
We can see a faint outline of what appears to be a staff leaning up against a doorway just on the entrance, but we cannot get close enough to discern it.
Right. Have you seen any more writing around?
No, we have kept a tight security on this.
Right. No one's tried to, well, I suppose, venture further in that's not a star elf or starless?
We have tried those of minor houses to see if we could get them closer in the starless, to see if it would open for them. We don't have noble blood, but
right.
We've tried, but no. We've tried non-stylists. We've tried troops from Burton to just draw them close to see if they could get close, but it has denied us at every possible upturn. And we did not see it fit to try and force a way through.
Of course, and you are right not to force your way through. I thank you for that. Have there been any intrusions? I hope none, but...
We had no real troubles. Curious scholars came by, but it was cornered off by the time they got there.
Alright. Well, thank you for protecting it for as long as you have, and clearing it and making it safe for me. But I do think now's the time. If you would lead me forwards.
She kind of sits up, like gets up from the knee and kind of mooring? That's right. Unmoors the boat.
Unmoors the boat. Yeah. I think it unmoors. I know you can moor a boat. I don't know if you can unmoor a boat. Is it unmoor?
Unmooring is technically no longer attached to a mooring, so I assume yes. So they unmoor the boat, the rowboat, and begin sailing you out. Just yourself and Astrodana. As you get to the similar, like, kind of almost crevice like that you once sailed through with Kelsier. It's quiet. And you faintly recall back to a time where you'd entered this and it was scary. A golem. And you get a chuckle to yourself for a second. A golem. Scary. And you just...
How naive.
A smile drifts across your face. As you go in, you can see there is stationed a Starless troop is just like paramount glaive, just standing full armor, medium armor, usual Karzun-Vir gear. And they see you, and they drop to a knee and they place the glaive just across the knee.
Please rise.
Malish, he gets up.
How goes your watch?
Well, my liege.
I'm glad to hear it. No disturbances, I hope.
No. It is a position of honor to God.
Well, I am lucky that I have someone who deems it so honorable. Thank you.
My life for the dying God, my liege.
Hopefully he shall be with us soon.
For the glory of Thalcal's here.
Of course. Calcinder will continue on.
Through. Neither of them enter with you. As you kind of make your way through this twisting area, you see there is... restrained in a sense. There's like arcane wards that you can see, glyphs, and the golem once rises again as you enter through, but then you can see like scuffs on the ground where the glyphs have like been worn, like where the magic's clearly been pressured, but it just rises. It does not disturb, it does not push forward, it does not have any form of like body language that show it's like sizing up for a strike to try and press the glyphs. It just recognizes you.
Hail, ancient guardian, once again.
Just
right.
And now, as you look for the first time, that pure rock wall is dropped. Within inside, there's beautiful white marble. There's archways of elegant design and a worn wooden doorway. And even from this distance, you can already notice a staff just leaning up against the door. Broken, weathered, but...
What does the staff look like?
So, as you get closer, you look through it. It looks to be something that's old, perhaps once very well crafted. It definitely was arcane. It's some form of lustrous metal that is kind of weathered and worn at this stage. There's a small sheen off of it. It's like a fusion of polished crystal and ethereal stardust seem to be embedded into it.
Calisindi will make his way towards it. Does anything seem to change as he heads towards it, or?
No, it seems to be all fine.
All right. Yeah, Calisindi, as he gets closer, will try and reach out towards it and take it if he can.
Yeah, as you get closer.
Almost just like pausing for a second. His hand just like holding out over it, just waiting before grasping it.
One second. Are you alright?
You good?
Okay. You can pass me. Okay. That's okay. Okay. So, as you grab it, you see now as you get closer, the top of the staff, glass is shattered on it now, but almost like there's the head of the staff is like a lantern style. Cracked, you don't see where a light would sit anymore, but intricate filigree, celestial pattern, almost as if there was stained glass shards on each side, each four sides, but it is inert.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels important, and as you place your hand on it, there's a warmth to it, and you hear a clunk of the lock in the door opening beside you.
Can I just like pick it up, or does it seem to be like attached?
No, you
in
take
that
it.
position? Yeah. Just carry it.
Quarterstaff.
Yeah. Almost just using it as like a staff, just to like walk with.
Yeah.
Just
As you
firmly in his hand.
As you get closer, you hear the door unlock, and you kind of pause as you weren't expecting to hear something automatically unlock to your ears. It's not exactly what you were. I don't want to say prepared for, but what's the wording I'm looking for? Expecting. You weren't expectant of this. As you go through, it's apparent that this area, like, the lights seem to come alive. There's like just a natural glow to this, and your eyes kind of dart around. You're expecting something, but as you enter through the doorway, the air shimmers with a not unfamiliar essence of world-altering vision in front of you. As your vision unfolds, there's a grand procession of followers, led by a radiant figure with a staff similar to the one that you're holding, but not broken, not shattered, not missing parts. It's light, beautiful. You feel like this is a figure, is a chosen champion of a bygone era. And as you look back, kind of, you see the procession following them with you through fields of reeds, making their way somewhere. And they look back to you, the faceless Elvin, by form you assume. And they reach a hand out to you, and you instinctively go for it. And as you do try and reach to the hand, the lights come to you into the chamber within. And you're confused. But the chamber opens out in front of you as you find yourself in a small, like, collection of chambers. Some appear to be fully caved in just with time and erosion, but there's ahead of you four pathways that you in theory could have gone. One is completely caved in, whatever has been lost to time, but there's three in front of you that whether they go deeper in more than one room is not known, but for all you know, there is something in there. Which chamber would you like to go into first? The one to your immediate front, left, or right?
Are there any markings around them that sort of can help distinguish them at all, or is it?
Roll me investigation.
With pleasure. I knew that my dice out for a good reason. What was that? That is a 29.
Okay. You stop, you listen, you look for signs. And similar to visions coming to you, you see light appear in front of them, rising from the ground almost as they get to the archways of each door. You see 3 rooms that are labeled Chamber of Clarity, Chamber of Resilience, Chamber of Illumination.
Taking this in, Callum thinks back to recent events and his desire for knowledge, his desire for information, his desire for reassurance that he's on the right path, that he's doing the right thing, that there is a way forward, for the clarity that he has been longing for. And so he heads towards that chamber first.
As you go to it, the door, it appears to... You expect to hear a click again. You see a wooden door, you're holding a staff. You don't know how you're going to unlock it, but as you walk closer, you see the doorway actually turns into this like pool of shimmering water, stood up vertical, that drops down through the ground. As you walk through, you see there's meditative pools just lazily strewn around. As you go in, there's like just the sound of like soft flowing water, but you're not sure if it's underground fed or how it so comes to be. But as you get to this point, getting through, you feel kind of just this calling to the water.
Calcindy will approach one of the pools. Does anything appear as he walks a bit closer towards the pools, or is it almost as beckoning for him to...
Instinct alone is making you want to get towards it.
Yeah. And he will in this place here follow that instinct.
Okay. So, as each of the pools come through, you feel yourself weightless. As you kind of step through, the water rises to meet you, expectingly. And you lay there submerged. And you're not sure at what point it happened. Exactly. It's so ever present that its absence was so alarming you did not even pick it up. But there is no other voice in your head but your own. And you feel whole. And you open your eyes and you're not sure how long you were lying there. But it's quiet. And by the gods, how much have you missed quiet?
Are you still there?
No response. It's lonely, perhaps, but... As you kind of sit up from the pools, you realize you're not in the same chamber anymore. The area of clarity has led you through to perhaps somewhere different. As you find yourself rising from the water, the water doesn't even seem to cling to you. You step out of it almost dry. And you look forward, and there's a large library sprawling in front of you. And as you look through, the excitement of a library is something you've known since you were a child. But as you start looking, the world begins to crack around you. But it's not a crack into the void of madness, but almost like light bursting through the seams. And as the signs come to you again, so does another vision. As you look through the ancient tomes that could be on the shelf, you feel yourself enveloped as you now look down to a cosmic tapestry. Threads of light weaving intricate patterns, representing interconnected moments of divine and nature and magic. It's all sewn together beautifully. As you see, somewhere along the tapestry, the staff was made by the guiding light's own hands that you hold to your side right now. As you look through, you see on the tapestry a visage, beautiful and radiant. Perhaps the guiding light, perhaps a champion chosen. Discussing something with themselves quietly. Planning. And it's just as soon as it comes, as you kind of instinctively want to call out to the figure what is happening here. The light dims again and the library comes to you a whole. There's a book, perhaps jutting out just that little bit more than another. And albeit a very ancient form, you do recognize the old Elvish texts, and you just see written gently on it, Rite of Illumination.
Cindy will reach up for it.
Yeah, it's a dusty tome. You pull
Take it off the book.
You expect there to be something grander, but
take the dust off.
As you go through, it's skinny, but you open it up, and a lot of the pages are just larger glyphs and runes of celestial origin, and it's talking about repair. It's very quickly coming apparent to you that this path you're on has been guiding you towards this book, as it will fix the staff. If you find an altar, it mentions an altar. You're not sure where that is, but perhaps it's inside. Would you like to look around the library more?
Of course.
Okay.
Calicindia, in this moment, is just going to let himself enjoy the bounties, the paradise of his people that he has found himself in.
Roll me investigation or arcana.
Let's go arcana. With advantage as well. That is a 36.
36. As you spend time in here, you start on some familiar texts. In a sense, they mention the guiding light, and nothing here refers to them as the dying god. This is before that. You start on something simple. Something you feel you know from the dying god, but it's nice to see confirmed. Holy texts that go over the teachings and values of the guiding light. Compassion and mercy. Teaching the importance, as followers are encouraged to show kindness to everyone in times of strife. Understanding over judgment. And guidance in darkness. Empathizing the role of the guiding light. Symbolizing that outstretched hand from the sunrise. Leading lost souls through the darkness. Tranquility and peace. And lastly, eternal peace. The primary focus. Providing a realm of eternal peace for those all who were good but godless. Welcome those souls. Ensure their rest. And there's where you find something new. Because you know the symbol, and you go for that instinctively. The outstretched hand from the sunrise. Radiant and beautiful. And it mentions something in the book within. An area, a plane, a subplane. You're not quite sure. The luminous expanse. The afterlife of the guiding light. Vast, ethereal plane bathed in perpetual sunrise. Serene landscape of rolling hills and radiant meadows. Crystalline lakes. All bathed in the everlasting sunrise. Where so many souls you know are waiting to go. Within that you see mention of an area, the Hall of Guidance. A sacred hall where it was believed that the guiding light imparted wisdom and guidance to those who sought it to find meaning in their afterlife. To serve as solace or enlightenment or whatever an individual could need in the afterlife. And it sounds beautiful. And then you realize, well, you think it's not there. It's not. How is this working currently with the guiding light shattered? You don't know. you find a collection of like these small scrolls that are kept together, very much so in a glass case that you think is important just based on its location. And you find something that is just inscribed on it. The luminal scrolls. They seem to contain parables, wisdom, hymns, whatever the original clergy of the dying god, the guiding light, was. These are those texts that they followed. And you see another name for the guiding light, the Eternal Beacon, a title that was kind of a pseudonym. You also find information on 1, 2, 3, 4 different topics. Which would you like to discuss first?
1, 2, 3. Let's go number 4. Let's go for the fourth topic.
So, you start finding texts that go through what the clergy would believe as like what you eventually realize is basically what the Zarya became: inclusion and acceptance, a philosophy emphasizing that, a being that welcomed all virtuous souls irrespective of background or belief. It was a central aspect of the teachings, and you can see where it evolved in your own people's culture. And it's a compassion that perhaps you feel like is not shown enough in Starless culture anymore, with how heavy the importance it seems to be within the worship. Would you like to talk about the point 1, 2, or 3 now?
Let's go backwards. Let's go to 3.
3. Okay, well, we can work our way up the list that way if you want.
Yeah, sure. Calzin is taking like a very deep moment between reading each of these, almost just to like absorb
that's okay.
their information in the entirety.
As you look through, there's mention of festivals of renewals. You're not sure exactly on the modern calendar where it dictates. It says somewhere at the start of spring. The date is kind of lost in the text, but it talks about celebrating renewal and hope, the renewal of the seasons, the festivities of lighting lanterns, communal prayers, and acts of kindness throughout the community, continued promise of brighter tomorrows. And you read through it, and there's examples throughout history when the Guiding Light festivals had come to pass, and you could feel you're almost there, hearing the laughter, enjoying the crowds. In the periphery of your vision, you can almost see a field of lanterns, but it just doesn't quite come to you.
Just like pauses, just has a moment there of just complete pause, of just silent comment, like just almost imagining it, just trying to picture it in his mind, just have it there, that image.
Hand in hand
moving on
with
to the next.
You see artistic representations throughout this. You see temples that look just completely different to what the Starless have designed based on what was available to them. Beautiful in their own sense. Going next up on the list, if we go logically to number 2 now, we get to a book that interests you greatly. It talks of a pilgrimage to the luminous expanse. Not for the dead, but for devout followers embarking on a pilgrimage to the luminous expanse, seeking a connection to the divine realm of the Guiding Light, often involving meditation, reflection, rituals conducted in ethereal landscapes, It says the pilgrims returned with renewed life and deeper understandings of the guiding light. It even says at times that lost souls, even those who were not originally of worship to the guiding light, embarked on the pilgrimage to try and find purpose.
Does it mention in there how the pilgrimage was undertaken, like how it started, how one
It doesn't appear to
found
be
access?
instructional. It more is like almost like these are preachings of this pilgrimage, not actual instruction.
Yeah.
But lastly, and this, it excites you innately. How could it not? As you find a text that actually breaks down the original order of the clergy of the guiding light. The priests and high priestesses and such went by dawn hands, served as intermediaries between the guiding light's outstretched hand and the mortal realm, doing rituals for the departed, ensuring that their teachings in their community were upheld. You find a subsection of the dawn hand that were called the godless seekers, followers of the guiding light, who, for various reasons, whatever purpose called to them, they would seek out the graves of those who died without gods, almost like they were sent by the guiding light to shepherd those that were just to a just afterlife. Some godless seekers weren't even worshippers of the guiding light, it was said. They did not worship a specific deity, but they worked for the church, under the understanding that as they had no god, it's where they would end up, so why not? They did not have to worship. They did not feel obliged, but they did it out of a compassion for what was being offered. And it seems like it was a large worship by the way they talk of it. And lastly, you see funerary rites, ceremonies, elaborate ones, guiding departed to the afterlife, intricate prayers and rituals. They mention the use of sacred light, mentioning a staff similar to what you have, if not be it a little less important. And you look to the staff again and you just wonder what happened to it. But eternal illumination. It sounds beautiful. Would you like to do anything else in this library? Or did you progress to the next doorway?
How large is this library?
It's quite sizable.
Callus knew to spend a little bit more time. Yeah. I think he would allow himself that much.
The longer you stay here, time again, it's very difficult to tell when you're having fun. But for a moment brief in time there, as you kind of shoot your eyes up from just a copy of the holy texts of the guiding light, just referencing the dawn hands, like one of the previous dawn hands, like personal notes, and you just shoot your eyes up, and for a second as they all fade from vision, you could have sworn you were surrounded by scholars, all doing something similar. Perhaps other versions of you of a different time, on a different point in that tapestry you saw, or perhaps from a time gone by.
They seem to disappear.
They all fade when you look up.
Constantine is almost just going to try and will them into existence for a second, fleeting as it is, but just reaching out.
Nothing happens. But as you will them into existence, you try will them into existence. You focus, and there's a moment where, almost like a voice that was once in your head, now your own thought for a second. You think, would the shards work to do that? It brings a bit of worry because you feel, is it? It's a very old you thought, or maybe it's just a whole you thought. But it fades, and this is not the place to be using the shards.
Yeah. How, besides the voice in the head, how do the shards feel? Like, is there still that constant cracking and breaking of reality, the constant visions appearing, disappearing?
No.
How are they?
They are. And now you mention it. You're so used to them there for so long. It's almost weird. And how easily you slip back into normality. But they're not there.
Despite being in a library, surrounded by books of eras long gone that Calacinda would spend weeks poring over, he doesn't open another book upon realizing this. For the first time in over a century, or really about a century, Calacinda just closes his eyes, just focuses on the moment, enjoying it, savoring the first time this taste of freedom from the insanity that has gripped him.
And it is joyous. It's weird, there's always a voice, there's always something. And as you let stillness take you, you almost are alarmed for a second, and then you realize you've heard something you haven't heard in a long time. It is the feeling of your own heartbeat in a quiet moment. And you truly feel yourself. As you open your eyes, you notice there is a doorway perhaps you didn't notice, or new. Either prospect excites you, as if you didn't notice it. Well, that doesn't happen often, but if it's new, that's even better.
Does it seem to Calacinda like he can take, like, the scrolls that he found, like the luminous scrolls and the books detailing the rites and things like that? Does it seem like he can take those with him?
That is up to you. You know there is a guardian somewhere within this. You could wait and ask, or you could take them with you. There's no one here to stop you.
The space he's in, like, does there appear to be doorways leading to this point, like older ones before this new one appeared?
Yeah, and as you look back, you see there is written above the doorway that kind of leads back to the chamber. You not the water one, but the central chamber, and you look above the doorway as light illuminates above it, and you just see Chamber of Illumination is written on top of it.
Calacinda will not take anything with him for the moment then, and will instead head towards the new gateway that opened, the new door that presented itself.
You walk to the door, and you feel weight come to you. Not fear, but more just almost like a fact that something heavy lays within, as you realize that this feels newer by design, construction. And you see there is light comes above, weaker than the rest. Says the Chamber of the Fallen Star.
Does Calacinda get the feeling that he's meant to enter this now? Does it seem like almost something for later?
It's the only new doorway that appeared to you now.
feeling the moment of just the sheer fact that it does appear to be something that opened him in that moment. Count Cindy will open it and head through.
So as you get deep within these ruins towards the heart of it, the hidden chamber unfolds within you, the air heavy with emotion, sadness, as you enter in, and it's more modern in its design, closer to starless construction. You see a skeleton, first of all, in the corner, wearing starless of House Gorzail design. You see 4 murals have been painted. There appears to be an order to read them in. As you go to the first, you're shown a beautiful painting of the guiding light in a celestial battle against the Jotuns. Well, divine, not celestial. But an aura of divine power. The giants' embodiments of chaos and destruction. And unfortunately, that same figure you saw leading people. No face again. But you see a traitor painted. Once loyal, a star elf aided the giants in a moment of vulnerability. Going to the next mural portrays a climactic moment of that battle. The guiding light weakened, but resolute, facing overwhelming might of the Jotuns in a treacherous act. One sec, stuff's being yeeted at me. Gonna restart that. The mural portrays a cinematic, climactic moment of the battle. The guiding light weakened, resolute, facing the overwhelming might of the Jotuns. And you see as not even a divine connection, but almost like an emotional one between 2 long friends. It looks to that same figure. And radiant energy spills out like stardust as the realization of death is on the guiding light's face. Fading. Next in the line of murals is a mortal shell. Vulnerable, fallen from the heavens. As you see a panel split in 2. It takes 2 stories. You see divine essence separated, pulled from the dying form of the guiding light, leaving behind their mortal shell. A profound sacrifice as you just feel coming through you. And it becomes clear through the mural. The guiding light willingly embraced mortality purely for the reason to ensure the safety of the godless souls that they vowed to protect, forever weakening them, but ensuring an afterlife would remain possible. And you realize that you're collecting shards of that mortal shell, and it'll never be as strong as it once was. And the last one you see in a more modern script. Lamentations of the sacrifice. Last words of the guiding light, where they portray their undying love for all. It speaks of a promise to guide all in death, to be a bridge between the mortal realm and the luminous expanse. And briefly, but beautifully, a prophecy. An embodiment of the mortal shell. born anew, will come back to unify those that are separated. This is a prophecy you hold near and dear. And you think of prophecy, an embodiment of the mortal shell. You realize you carry so much of him with you right now. What are you doing?
If anyone else was there with Callus India, they would be shocked. As for one of the first times in his life, he is without words, without anything to say, just silence. Absorbing this, taking it in, and almost just walking up to each of the murals, looking upon them as if, not as if they are, knowing that they are part of his own life, reaching his current point. This is almost as much of him as who he was before.
You look back. You wonder, all those moments that, and it's been difficult. You've had so many memories of the guiding light. It's difficult to sometimes discern them from your own. And now it feels a bit clearer why. You are an embodiment of one of the mortal pieces. You must be. So is Irazilic. So is whoever this poor member of House Gorzail is. Perhaps so is Trannan.
We are all his children, one way or another. There's almost just a moment though for Calacinia, just amongst this, that he has, as obvious as it is, but a bad habit as it also is, just, is this just part of the madness? Is this just another part of the insanity? Is this something possessing me? Is this another part of my mind? But just overwhelmed at the same time by the realization, the truth in its pure and most rawest form in front of him. He just pushes these away.
You look around, there's soft light in the room, but you're not sure. There's one chamber you know is left. Is back the way you came.
The first mural.
Yeah.
It showed something that has never been spoken of, something that has never been mentioned, something that, by all accounts, has almost been stricken from the record.
Correct.
This traitor, this mention of a traitor, something that is so far absent from Calacinda's visions, his retelling of the events, both by the Guiding Light and by the other stars. Is there a depiction of this traitor there? Or is it a bit more of an abstract?
It's abstract, it's faceless, it holds the same staff you hold in your hand. You're not sure why it's stricken. Whether from disgust or whatever way the Guiding Light looked at this person, there was a profound connection painted in the mural. Perhaps it's just too painful.
Understands. Calacinda will, before he leaves the chamber, kneel down in front of the remains of the member of House Gorzail that was there. And just in a moment of respect, with someone who he feels, even though they're not alive, but just feels that shared kinship with, knowing that perhaps this person went on a very similar journey to what Calacinda did. Just a moment of silence.
Question.
before.
You feel a pulse come from the staff.
Does it seem to be sort of in like a certain direction, or
No, just like a pulse, like a heartbeat in your
Alright.
hand.
can Kathleen almost like focus in on it, or does it seem to be
Yeah, make an
drawing his
Arcana check.
attention to? Yeah. Advantage. That's a 35.
Almost like muscle memory from lives lived before. You bring the staff down, and you see the lantern on top of it. The light comes to it, powered by your own faith, and you see a star just rise from the chest of the skeleton and up. A ritual rite.
Take a deep breath in for the moment. In all of his reading through, I'm just curious, through the book so far, back in the previous chamber, was there anything that mentioned, that referred to this? Like the staff or the souls in that way?
Staff has come up many times, as used staff similar to these in the funerary rites of the clergy, of the guiding light, of the members of the Dawnhand. They shepherded and guided souls to the afterlife. It seems similar.
Does it mention what they did after that point? Or is that something that was left out of it?
There's more rites for what you would do in a more formal church setting, of like prayers you would give. Like, you can say one if you wish.
He would do his best. Kansan would do his best to say one of these prayers, leaning upon his own faith of the Starless and the way that it's been taught, but trying to incorporate as much of what he's just read and what he's just taken on board to create something new from that.
It's beautiful. And now
You
your
just-
mind goes to, there is one last place. There is one last chamber. Chamber of Resilience.
Yeah, Cal will pull himself back up using the staff. Still missing his hand. And make his way towards the Chamber of Resilience.
As you go through this beautiful chamber, you walk through where the pools are, you walk through the libraries, and you think it's not real, but it's all there. It's not disappearing. And it's beautiful. It's an unyielding stone altar. It's got two raised points that looks like the staff could be laid across it. It's an altar dedicated to the guiding light for personal or devout prayer. As you get closer to it, the chamber seems to expand past the stone altar, and you see, as like the stonework pitters back, a sphinx almost made of pure starlight sits, paws folded, looking at you. Its eyes almost reflecting the stars in your own back at you.
Calazindia will, even though it may not be right, I suppose, but he will nevertheless offer a bow towards it.
bows back to you. Speaks softly, but calm. You return.
Have.
Been expecting you.
I've been expecting you. And long awaiting. What may I address you as?
I have gone by many names. Luminara, most recently.
Luminar. It is a pleasure. I am Calacindia, if you do not already know my name.
We have met many times across many possibilities, but this is your first time meeting me. I have seen many versions of you, and I worry or yearn to know what version has come to meet me here today. For what purpose do you come to these ruins?
Good question. Vague as it may be, I've come here to understand. I think is the best way to put it. To learn. To uncover the mystery that, well, one of the first on the surface that presented itself to me, which steered me on the path that has seen so much torment, but also joy and hope. To see the truth.
That brings me joy that it is one who seeks knowledge that is the one that came to pass to be here. As you kind of feel at your side and such, and you realize there's one book you did not put back. One that, the first one that drew your attention from the very start. Small little book, The Rite of Illumination. As the Sphinx looks down kind of at you and sees the staff. It is yours, if you wish it.
What is it?
The staff.
Was it his? Is it his?
It was granted by him to another. Another who deeply, deeply betrayed him.
Who?
We do not speak of them.
He has been struck from all records. Even the visions that pervade my mind and present so much knowledge to me. He does not even appear in those.
There's only one being who can answer questions. On that person.
It is not you or I.
But the staff is shattered. I know the fate of my mate.
I am sorry.
It was my duty to guard as they have. I guard that staff, and it was entrusted to me and the correct you came to pass, I would reforge it. As a vision starts taking your mind as they speak in beautiful, arcane language, you see, kneeling before the altar in this central chamber, a celestial forge, just bathed in ethereal sunrise flames. The guiding light, a form of pure brilliance, is seen shaping that very sunlight into this staff. There's not strikes on an anvil, nothing so crude. Almost like plucking the chords of a harp, it's sung into existence as the flames sing of its power. And you can see as the staff is created, so too is the creator, the Sphinx. And you see in that moment, the guiding light tells the Sphinx of his betrayal someday, and tells of a time of another to come. But that it must come. To not be afraid. And then light comes to your eyes.
Am I the one to take the staff?
I believe so. I have been entrusted to decide. You have done more than any before you. There are times that I thought it wouldn't be you. There are times that I thought it would be your uncle. There are times that I thought it would be that first visitor from Asgorzael. But here you are.
How many have there been that have tried?
You are the seventh.
And how many of them lost their minds?
None shall lose what they freely give. So what say you, Calacindia Thalcalzia? Do you accept your responsibility?
I accept it. The
You
full
see.
weight of responsibility that comes my way.
You put the staff up on the precipice. As you see, it kind of becomes this like crescent shape of sunlight. And you're expecting some form of reforging process. As the Sphinx kind of looks at the staff, but past it into you, not at you. It's distinctly different. It's not eye contact, it's almost looking into your being. And with heavy weighted words in Old Elvish, they say something very simple. Be whole again. As you see the starlight pitters off them, making its way to the broken parts of the staff and to that place you once cut your hand. The starlight reforges and is birthed anew. The Sphinx slowly fades from existence, and your hand solidifies, and you see the staff with a beautiful, almost like flare, small but beautiful, poof. And the candle in the top of the lantern is lit. The stained glass of early sun, like kind of pinky sunrise, is there. And the room is quiet. And you... It's not gone. She's not gone. She's right in front of you. The Sphinx, a part of you. And forever part of the staff. Do you reach out and grab it?
I do.
So, I'm happy to give you Luminara, Staff of Arcane Radiance. As you lay your hand on it, hello, as the voice of the sentient staff comes to your mind.
Oh. Luminara.
Yes?
I'm glad to know that you'll be with me.
As you feel yourself eyes gaze upwards, and almost like stars begin to fall from the sky. Second. Beautiful radiance. And moments of your mind come to you. The soul was split from the mortal shell. And you feel a pulse in the staff once more. Bigger this time. Do you accept?
Calcinder accepts and lets whatever happening happen.
You turn, and with two hands you kind of wave the lantern face of it in this beautiful archway. As the sunrise, kind of, you sweep it down a small archway, and like rising of a sun, a doorway forms up from the ground. Do you step through?
Calcinder just stops. Eyes locking onto it, back onto the staff in his hands, then back onto it, but his mind thinking back on everything that's happened. Before he takes the first few steps towards it, entering through it.
As you step through, the air shimmers with divine energy, and reality unfolds before you. As you look behind yourself, a grand procession of followers, led through a radiant field of reeds, vast meadows. You know this vision. You followed this vision when you walked through here. But now you lead, and you look back and you see so many faces of starless, of human, of odd origin you don't recognize. And then you start to spot faces in the crowd. You spot Irazilic. You're shepherding the dead to the luminous expanse. All those that have waited for so long, finally brought home.
As Calcinder looks over, seeing Irazilic, seeing family members, seeing those countless members, his friends on his Kazan Vir that died, all of those people that he's known that have given their lives, people he's never met, relatives of his that have been waiting for this moment. And as tears begin to fall from his face, staring out across them, it's a smile as well. That he's been waiting for this. This is one of the key reasons. This is the purpose behind it in a large way. One of the main reasons to bring about this peace.
As you look back at everyone,
And
kind of instinctually walking them, bringing them through this beautiful, radiant meadows and rolling hills, you feel yourself like bump into something as you're not quite paying attention, and you feel something fully embrace you. A tall, beautiful star elfin figure which you've seen once before, of the guiding light, as they just embrace you. And you look forward and you see what, from the rituals you've read, the Hall of Guidance, and you see people as they scatter out their small little gatherings, and people run to their family, and there is joy, pure, unfettered, unstoppable joy.
Calacinda just looks at them all, and knowing that none of them can probably hear him, scattered as they are, just still speaks. Very simply. Be whole again.
They don't seem to pay you any heed, as it's not your time to join them. And you see behind you is... You've done so well.
See you.
You've done so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I did not expect this. Here and now like this, but I am... The tears do not show the rejoice I am feeling.
I knew you'd come. A version. Eventually.
I'm glad I could. Glad I could make it this far. There are so many times I never thought I would. But I'm here.
You had never anything other than my full faith.
That's something that I would have said countless times over to myself and to others. Faith, unbridled and focused.
You still have much to do. There are still parts of my mortal form out there. But,
Of course.
you are weakened. Your soul, well, Luminara has remade it whole. Let me ease your strain. I will retake what bits you have finally managed to bring to me. You will lose some of their functionality, but that is okay. You are strong. I will shore up your mind for your madness, because you cannot lose something you freely give. And I thank you for giving me your mind when mine own was so scattered. I have not felt so whole in such a long time.
I'm overjoyed to know that. To know that everything has, I suppose for lack of a better word, worked. I have a lot of questions to ask, but I do not know if this is the right time.
I'll grant you a few. But my dear Calacinda, you are not dead. You should not tarry here too long.
I know. I know that it may not be easy to ask, but I am compulsed to ask. What happened to the one that betrayed you? The one that I have never heard of nor seen in your visions.
I don't fully know. They could still be out there. Strong. Weak. I knew they would.
Did you let them?
How could I deny you such a beautiful life? It was my own hubris to fight the Ottomans when my brothers warned me against it so. And when my fate became apparent to me, I did not shy away from it.
Seemed to be happy when he at least briefly made contact with you through me, your brother.
I was very fond of him. My clergy were partially named by him.
I noticed that.
I do not focus on betrayal. It is not our way to seek revenge.
May I ask what their name was, sir?
If you must. But must you?
I'm afraid my insatiable thirst for knowledge will remain regardless of what I experience. But revenge is not what I desire.
Their name was Elion.
Elion?
Elion. Aelion.
Elion. Does that name sound familiar at all, Calicindia?
You briefly remember reading in the text you were just going over. It appears to be the name of the first Dawn Hand.
Well, I am happy that you gave me such a blessed life to live. And such an opportunity.
Calicindia, I'm closer to whole than I have ever been. And thanks to your father, I shall reform someday.
Thanks to my father. That was not easy news to hear, but I suppose neither was for him when I first announced it.
He made a promise.
He did. What will become of him, though? Will he be here?
He will not. Your father, the great Amrathan, shall join me. I have felt a connection to your paternal for so long, and in a sense it will be solidified, as his memories will be combined with my own. His body will become my own, a vessel for my return, to unify spirit and body. He won't be gone. His soul will come here, partially. You will see him again someday. But he will also be a part of me. Forever.
But he will be at peace.
He is already at peace. And he has never been more proud. Now, you tarry among the dead too long when you have a life to live.
I do. There is just one question that has been on my mind. And one question that I must know your answer to. What of the Jotuns? What do you say on them? You said it was your hubris for coming here, but what would you do with your time again? Do we need to see them in the same light, or is there...
My dear Calicinda, the first I shall do is apologize for slaying so many. This was their home before it was ours. Do you not defend your home from the ghouls, from forces that come to take what was yours? I came to slay someone because I wanted to be a god before I knew what it was to be a god. I wanted to prove my might before I knew the duties that it would fall under to have so many mortal souls to take care of.
A lot to reflect on.
So he gets very close to you. He kind of pulls you in. He places his hands kind of on your head. He goes, "Be still your mind, for you are whole. Be still your thoughts, for you are just. Meet each day like the rising sun. Be good. Bring light with you. And go forth. In the first time I can say in a long time. Dawn Hand, Thal Calcier."
Thank you. Thank you.
So you kind of pull away and he squeezes your hand. And he just gently places his hand on top of yours. And you feel like... kind of like the same feeling you get similar to when your blood is being drawn. Like something's being pulled out of you and it feels unnatural. As you feel the shards pulled from your body. And you're cured of not any stat afflictions you got, but major madnesses are cured. You'll maintain your stat boosts, but you do lose access to the shards powers of these shards. And you reset your stars. You keep the ones that are in your eyes, but the negative effects are... like, again, the stats don't change. You're negative to cats. But for, like, soul being damaged, you still can keep any ability. You can keep the 200 star ability, as that's an ability for the soul. But Psionic Resonance and all the individual bits are gone.
Gone. And in terms of the major madnesses, like, are all the things as well that I've got, like, the -2 to certain stats and all of that's also gone?
The positives are kept, but the negatives finally leave you. So you can, whatever. I hope you've been keeping track of them.
I need to go back through everything because some of them I got ages ago, so I need to go back and...
It's like -2 to dex, -2 to con. But you feel yourself as your soul heals, your mind knits itself back together, and you look to your hand. And where there once was the symbol of the dying god, you now feel almost like in sunlight showing is the symbol of an outstretched hand.
I don't know what to say. My mind and my body feel, as you put it, whole. That word I didn't realize could have so much weight until now.
You also regain all your hit dice. I don't want to see you here for quite some time.
I hope not for a long time. I'm I'm sorry, I did say one last question, but I think there's one that you know has been coming. Samael.
A kindred spirit of yours.
Kindred. Suppose.
Soul so tortured by my own doing.
How much of it was it by your own doing? And how much was it by his own?
I needed him to protect the shards. He had to protect the mortal shell. There were others. He just found a way to make it so he would not die. And I cannot fault him for that, as I did task him with the job.
Will you pass judgment on him, though? Regardless.
He will find himself where he ends. With his divinity, I am not going to start another war against gods or Jotuns. What would you have me do?
Help him find redemption in the eyes of the world and in himself.
And in his shoes, would you have done the same to protect the shards?
Yes.
Go in peace, Calasindia. Revenge is not our way.
Revenge is not our way.
As you feel the staff pulse. And you know you cannot linger in a realm of dead for too long.
Can Calasindia try and make out, just looking out where Irazilic went? Because he imagines in his mind that is where
You see Erzilic's
his family would be.
sprinted for a family that came with him. He is
I was
beeline.
going to say that would be. But Calasindia just almost in his mind just notes that that's where his family will be. Once he comes here, whenever he comes here again, in life or in death, that is where they'll be.
You feel as you you commit it to memory. Almost like you feel like Erzilla can feel you. You see he kind of looks in the general direction of the guiding light. And then back to his family and continues his conversation. Like for a bit, you were connected. Just a second.
Go in peace, Irazilic. You deserve it. But you are right. I cannot linger here. I wish I could spend longer in your presence, but
You will have time enough when it comes time for you to pass.
precisely. But there is much work to be done.
As you were.
Thank you.
So
Is there like
you feel yourself as you kind of the archway, kind of like the crescent below, sunrise at a gateway, and you have to leave. As you look back to all like tiefling, it's similar to that fellow Bran you knew, orcs, odd stout short little fellows. There's beings of all creation here. But you must go.
One last, almost longing look across them all. Calasindia will turn and go back through the gateway.
You find yourself Chamber of Resilience, a beautiful stone altar in front of you, and it's calm, and the voices in your head are calm, and the world is not shattering around you, and it's still.
forgotten what this is like. Forgot.
So, as you spent that time attuning to Luminara's Staff of Arcane Radiance, its features are as follows, and I will text this to you later. The lantern atop the staff emits a soft, radiant glow, shedding bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light in an additional 30-foot radius. As a bonus action, you can command the lantern to intensify its glow, increasing to a bright light for 60 feet and a dim light on a further 30 feet for a total of 90 feet. It does that for a minute. You can just do it at will, though. It has the arcane channeling feature. The staff allows the caster to channel their spells more efficiently. When you cast a spell that deals damage, you can choose to add extra radiant damage to the damage roll equal to your intelligence modifier. It has empowered spellcasting. Once per short rest, as a bonus action, you channel the magic of the staff flowing through you. For 1 minute, you gain advantage on all spell attack rolls. It has arcane defense. As a bonus action, you can cause your form to blend with the light around you, becoming harder to hit, as if by the spell blur. It is not a spell, however, it is just as if by the spell.
Okay.
It has luminous mastery. Once per long rest, the wielder can unleash the staff's true potential. For 1 minute, any spell you cast is treated as if casted as 1 level higher, up to 9th level. So 5th becomes 6th, 6th becomes 7th, 7th becomes 8th, 8th becomes 9th.
Yeah.
And then it has the spell absorption feature. The staff has the ability to absorb spells cast at it. When targeted by a spell, you can use your reaction to absorb the spell, storing its energy in the staff. The staff can store up to 4 spell levels in this way. You can release a stored spell as an action, targeting a single creature within 60 feet. The stored energy is released as a spell attack roll. With your spellcasting ability modifier, it deals 2d10 force damage per spell level, up to a max of 8d10.
Okay.
And if the feature hadn't been clear enough to you from here on out, you also now learn a number of illumination spells of your choice equal to your spellcasting ability modifier from the wizard's illumination spell list. They are counted as spells known, but do not count against your spells known for calculating your total spells.
Are they cast using sorcerer slots or warlock or both either?
Your choice. And they can be of any level, so you could pick 1st, 2nd to 9th.
What?
And as you leave the town, the ruins, that is where your little individual session will come to an end.
Just the moment of just leaving. There's just almost just the shock. Almost just severance coming back to the real world. Just
and you can
back into the
take
realm
as
of
many of
mortals.
those tomes as you want of the religious texts. You can take them all.
Yeah.
Like
He'll take the ones. Actually, he'll look back over the one that you said he didn't look through, the Rite of Elimination.
no, that's one you brought with you. That's how you fix the stuff.
Oh, that's the one I brought. Right. Yeah, but like he would take all of like the core, like the ones that are really like the core religious texts. The ones that one would take if they wanted to bring back the old ways.
So you can also now classify yourself as a Dawn Hand.
Dawn Hand. Another title to add to Calacinda's list.
A fine addition to my collection.
A fine addition to my collection of titles. Dawn Hand Calacinda.
But yeah, that was our little one-on-one for Calacindir.
Gosh, that was a journey. Your descriptions there were beautiful.
Look, I was right. It was going to take a little bit. It took a little bit of time.
it did take a little bit of time. There's no way we would have been able to fit that into just a regular session.
No.
Like, what, almost 2 hours to just go through that. That was beautiful, though. Some of those moments were just beautiful. I can't wait for Monday, because coming back from this, that's, yeah,
Thanks for
a
playing.
different person. Thank you, Des. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're gonna go ahead and end there. We'll see you on Monday, and our stream schedule should probably go up tomorrow. I'm just waiting on a couple things to confirm it. It's a little late, but yeah.
Mhm.
Go in peace. We'll
Thank
see you
so
next
much,
time.
guys. Be whole again.